A powerful bomb cyclone is coming. The situation across the eastern United States is about to become catastrophic. I'm tracking what could be the most dangerous winter storm of this entire season, and I need to be completely direct with you about what's developing. A powerful bomb cyclone is forming that will bring feet of snow and life-threatening blizzard conditions to tens of millions of people this weekend. This isn't just another winter storm. This is a rapidly intensifying system that has the potential to paralyze the East Coast from Florida to Maine. Everything begins Thursday, as the worst Arctic blast of this winter slams into the eastern tier of the United States. This polar plunge is going to shatter temperature records from Florida all the way to the northeast. What makes this situation even more dangerous is that over 300,000 people are still without power from the crippling ice storm that has already caused at least 70 fatalities. These communities are about to face another devastating weather event while still recovering from the first disaster. But the real concern here is the winter storm threat that's rapidly developing. This storm is expected to become what meteorologists call a bomb cyclone, which is a rare and extremely dangerous type of winter system. If this storm takes the track that current models are suggesting, we could see feet of snow dumped across large portions of the East Coast. To make matters significantly worse, blizzard conditions are likely to occur as this storm rapidly intensifies and produces wind gusts that could exceed 70 miles per hour in some areas. I've been analyzing the weather pattern that's setting up, and what I'm seeing is truly concerning. We're dealing with a dramatic weather pattern flip that's about to trigger the risk of a major winter storm this weekend. The temperature trends over the next few days are going to be critical in determining just how intense this system becomes. We just experienced a significant Arctic blast over the last 24 to 48 hours that impacted areas across the southeast. But what's coming is much more intense. There's a massive Arctic air mass that's going to re-intensify as we move into Thursday and Friday, and it's going to unleash a new round of Arctic air across nearly everywhere east of the Rocky Mountains. By Friday night, we're looking at very cold weather stretching all the way down toward Texas and into the southeast, with the most intense cold air located across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. As we progress into Saturday, that extremely cold air is going to push all the way down toward areas like Florida. This is going to shatter numerous temperature records across the southeast and really all up and down the East Coast this weekend. The probabilities of a major winter storm impacting the United States this weekend are rapidly increasing with each new model run I analyze. When I look at the probabilities of seeing at least minor winter storm impacts as we move into Saturday and Sunday, the odds are rapidly increasing along the East Coast. This includes areas that rarely see snow. Even areas like Florida and Georgia could see snowfall this weekend. I'm not exaggerating when I say that areas near Tampa Bay, Florida could see snow. Jacksonville could see snow. We could even see snow in Louisiana and Arkansas. The overarching issue is what's developing along the East Coast. The odds are very high at this point that we're going to see a significant winter storm this weekend in areas like the Carolinas, Georgia, and extending up the East Coast as we move into late Saturday and Sunday. This is when the powerful bomb cyclone is forecasted to form and rapidly intensify. When we look at major and extreme impacts, the probabilities remain substantial. In the Carolinas, there's at least a 30 to 50% chance of seeing major winter storm impacts, which means several inches of snow will be on the table and we could see major travel impacts and power outages. This is definitely a winter storm that demands serious attention and preparation. Let me walk you through exactly who is going to see snow and how much snow could fall over the next 7 days. Today is relatively quiet across most of the country, with some light passing snow showers across the high plains and the Rockies. The Pacific Northwest has an atmospheric river bringing heavier rain to areas near Seattle. Along the East Coast, there are a few light snow showers, but overall today represents the calm before the storm. Tomorrow, we'll see activity begin to increase as snow showers develop across areas like Missouri. Springfield, St. Louis, and perhaps even near Joplin could see passing snow showers, along with areas in Nebraska. All of this will be underneath a very intense high-pressure system. This Arctic high is what's going to unleash extremely cold Arctic air as we move into the late week and weekend, which will shatter temperature records up and down the East Coast. As we move into late Friday and early Saturday, we'll continue watching snow showers circling around this high-pressure system. But Friday night into Saturday morning is when things become truly interesting and dangerous. We'll have moisture streaming out of the Gulf of Mexico. We'll have cold air pouring out of the north around our Arctic high. While all of this is happening, a small low-pressure system will attempt to form over the Gulf, and that system will eventually move up the east coast of the United States. What I believe is going to happen is that this low-pressure system will track very close to the Carolina coastline, where it could dump feet of snow in some locations. This is the genuine possibility we're facing with this storm system. The track is going to be absolutely critical in determining impacts. Once we reach late Friday night and early Saturday morning, we'll see small snow showers passing through areas of the southern plains. Areas like Texas, including Dallas and Fort Worth, along with Oklahoma City, could see light snowfall. I wouldn't even rule it out in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. However, anything that happens in these areas will likely remain very isolated compared to what's coming for the East Coast. The real story will be what develops along the East Coast. As we move into Saturday morning, we'll have a broad area of low pressure developing off the coast of Florida. This will bring the threat of moderate to heavy snowfall across areas like Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and all across the Carolinas and Virginia. This is shaping up to be a major winter storm along the East Coast for this weekend. Everything comes down to the track of this low pressure system. The majority of our computer models are indicating that it will stay close enough to the coastline where we have a genuine possibility of a major winter storm. At the bare minimum, even if it's not a major winter storm, we should see snowfall across all these areas this weekend. Saturday morning will bring plenty of snowfall across the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. We could even see a possibility of Gulf effect snow in areas of Florida. This is entirely possible on Saturday because we'll have westerly winds leading to moisture flowing from west to east into parts of Florida. This might impact areas like Tampa, Orlando, and several other locations. Generally speaking, any snowfall that occurs in Florida will be very light and probably won't accumulate significantly, but it's something we'll be monitoring closely. The bigger story for Florida will be the extreme cold that will shatter records across the state. Saturday afternoon and evening represent when this system becomes truly dangerous. The low-pressure system is going to rapidly intensify just off the coast of the Carolinas. By late Saturday night, it could strengthen down to 991 millibars of pressure, which indicates significant intensification. When the low-pressure center intensifies like this, our precipitation and winds become much stronger at the surface. For those in the Carolinas and areas like Maryland, we're talking about the possibility of heavy snow and blizzard conditions. If this scenario develops as models suggest, which looks increasingly likely, we're going to see very serious problems along the East Coast Saturday into early Sunday. Winds will likely exceed 50 to 60 miles per hour, and we'll be dealing with heavy snowfall simultaneously. This combination creates extremely dangerous blizzard conditions. Sunday brings an even more concerning scenario. The low-pressure system will continue to intensify, which means a bomb cyclone will form. This occurs when the pressure center drops by 24 millibars or more over a 24-hour period. This rapid intensification will happen in real time right along the East Coast, which means we could see even heavier snow and much higher winds. This is shaping up to be a potentially historic winter storm. The exact impacts will depend on how close the system tracks to the East Coast, but Saturday and Sunday look extremely dangerous along the coastline. The rapid intensification characteristic of bomb cyclones means conditions can deteriorate very quickly, giving people little time to prepare once the storm begins. Looking at the potential scenarios, I see three main possibilities developing. The first scenario, which I believe is most likely based on current data, resembles a classic nor'easter tracking right along the East Coast, producing feet of snow and very high winds for many areas. This represents about a 60% probability based on current model consensus. The second scenario involves more of a glancing blow, which carries about a 30% chance. This would still bring snowfall across areas like the Carolinas, possibly even Florida, and into the Northeast, but impacts would not be as significant. However, it could still be memorable for many locations that rarely see snow. The third scenario, with only about a 10% probability, involves the storm tracking completely out to sea. This is very unlikely at this point based on the atmospheric pattern I'm analyzing, but if it happened, it would mean no significant snow impacts for most areas. I do not believe this scenario will occur given current atmospheric conditions. When I examine snowfall accumulation potential from different models, the results vary but all show significant impacts. The National Weather Service blend of models shows light coating to flurries in parts of Florida, which is entirely possible. Across the Carolinas and up the East Coast, it shows widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow, with some areas like Cape Cod, Nantucket, and near Boston seeing close to a foot. Areas along the Mid-Atlantic region, especially near Cape Hatteras, could see around a foot of snowfall. The GFS model presents a more extreme scenario that I don't personally believe will fully materialize. It shows up to 30 inches of snow in some areas, which would require a very intense bomb cyclone tracking extremely close to the coastline. While this scenario is theoretically possible if the system intensifies very rapidly and hugs the coast, I consider it unlikely. However, if you want to see massive snow totals, this represents the high-end possibility. The European model shows a more conservative scenario with lesser snowfall amounts for New Jersey and most of New England. It concentrates the heaviest snow in areas like Cape Cod and Nantucket, showing up to 2 feet in some very localized areas. Across the Carolinas and Mid-Atlantic, it shows widespread 4 to 8 inches, with some isolated locations seeing 10 inches. Based on my analysis, I believe the National Weather Service blend of models provides the best indication of what we'll see this weekend. The GFS model may be closer in terms of snow placement, but I think its snowfall totals are too aggressive. However, these forecasts will continue to evolve as we get closer to the event. Another major concern this weekend is the Arctic blast that will send temperatures as low as 40 degrees below normal almost anywhere east of the Rockies. By Saturday night, it's going to be extremely cold, especially across the southeast. Temperature trends over the next 7 to 10 days show brutally cold conditions across the Ohio Valley and southeast, with many areas experiencing single digits and teens. This cold pattern won't break until at least Monday or Tuesday of next week. The combination of heavy snow, high winds, and extreme cold creates a particularly dangerous situation. For areas still recovering from power outages, this represents a compound emergency where people without heat will face life-threatening conditions. Emergency management agencies need to prepare for potential widespread power outages from the storm occurring during record-breaking cold temperatures. The timing of this storm is particularly concerning because it develops during a weekend when many people might be traveling or engaged in outdoor activities. The rapid intensification characteristic of bomb cyclones means conditions can change from manageable to dangerous very quickly. People need to monitor forecasts closely and be prepared to change plans rapidly if conditions deteriorate faster than expected. For aviation, this storm represents a nightmare scenario with the potential for widespread flight cancellations and delays across the eastern United States. The combination of heavy snow, high winds, and extreme cold will make airport operations extremely difficult or impossible in many areas. Maritime interests along the East Coast need to prepare for extremely dangerous conditions if this bomb cyclone develops as forecast. Wave heights could reach 20 to 30 feet with sustained winds over hurricane force in some areas. Even large vessels will face challenging conditions in seas like this. The agricultural impacts across the affected regions could be severe, particularly for livestock operations that aren't equipped for such extreme conditions. Citrus crops in Florida that have survived recent cold snaps may face additional stress from this prolonged Arctic outbreak. As I continue monitoring this developing situation, I want to emphasize that this is not a typical winter storm. The rapid intensification potential of this system, combined with the extreme cold pattern, creates a compound threat that demands serious preparation. Everyone in the potential impact zones needs to prepare for the possibility of losing power during record-breaking cold, travel becoming impossible for multiple days, and conditions changing rapidly as the storm develops. This represents one of the most significant winter weather threats we've seen in recent years, and I'll be providing frequent updates as conditions evolve. What makes this bomb cyclone particularly dangerous is the meteorological setup I'm observing. The Arctic high-pressure system that's building over Canada is creating an extremely strong temperature gradient with the warmer air over the Atlantic Ocean. This temperature contrast is fuel for rapid storm development. The pressure gradients I'm seeing in the forecast models are truly remarkable. When a storm intensifies this rapidly, it doesn't just bring more snow and wind. It fundamentally changes how the atmosphere behaves around the system. The tighter those pressure gradients become, the stronger the winds get. Looking at the sea surface temperatures along the east coast, they're still relatively warm compared to the incoming Arctic air mass. This temperature differential is going to provide additional energy for the developing storm system. As the cold air moves over the warmer ocean waters, it's going to enhance lift and moisture transport. The jet stream configuration is also particularly concerning. We have what meteorologists call a negative tilt to the trough, which means the upper level energy is going to phase together very efficiently. When this happens, it can lead to rapid intensification that exceeds bomb cyclone criteria. For the power grid, this storm represents a perfect storm scenario. The combination of heavy wet snow, high winds, and extreme cold creates multiple failure points for electrical infrastructure. Ice loading on power lines from the recent ice storm has already weakened many structures. The snow characteristics are going to vary significantly depending on temperature profiles during the storm. In areas where surface temperatures remain in the teens or single digits, we'll see very dry, powdery snow that blows around easily. In slightly warmer areas, the snow will be heavier and stickier. Transportation networks across the eastern United States need to prepare for what could be a complete shutdown in many areas. Interstate highways from Florida to Maine could become impassable, and the extreme cold will make recovery operations extremely difficult. Emergency services are going to face unprecedented challenges. Ambulances and fire trucks will have difficulty navigating snow-covered roads with high winds. Response times will increase dramatically. The economic impacts of the storm will be felt for weeks. Major ports along the East Coast will likely shut down, disrupting supply chains. Air travel will face massive delays and cancellations. For urban areas, this storm presents unique challenges. The urban heat island effect will provide some protection from extreme cold, but high-rise buildings can create wind tunnel effects that make blizzard conditions even more dangerous. Coastal flooding is another concern I'm monitoring. Bomb cyclones can produce significant storm surge, and when combined with high tide cycles, coastal areas could see flooding even with snow falling. The rapid intensification timeline means that conditions will deteriorate much faster than people expect. Unlike typical winter storms that gradually strengthen over 12 to 24 hours, bomb cyclones can go from manageable to life-threatening in just a few hours. Satellite imagery over the last 24 hours shows the precursor features to this system already organizing over the Gulf of Mexico. The temperature contrast between the Arctic air mass and Gulf moisture is clearly visible. The European Center model's latest ensemble runs show remarkable consistency in developing a significant storm system, though there's still some spread in the exact track. The American GFS ensemble also shows strong agreement on storm development. Historical analogs for this type of setup include some of the most memorable winter storms in recent decades. The rapid intensification pattern and track similarity remind me of several historic nor'easters that produced massive snowfall totals. For the Great Lakes region, this storm could produce significant lake effect snow on the backside of the system. As the main storm pulls away and winds shift to the northwest, areas downwind of the Great Lakes could see additional heavy snow bands. Livestock and agricultural operations across the affected region need to implement extreme weather protocols immediately. The combination of heavy snow and extreme cold creates deadly conditions for animals that aren't properly sheltered. School districts across the eastern United States are already making difficult decisions about closures for Friday and Monday. The extreme cold alone would justify closures in many areas, but the addition of a major winter storm means many schools will likely remain closed well into next week. This is not a storm to underestimate or wait to prepare for. The combination of rapid development and impacts on communities still recovering creates a truly dangerous situation that demands immediate attention and preparation.